Welcome to the beroNet guide on how to build a complete VoIP system using the beroNet Telephony Appliance 2.0 and the IP-PBX system 3CX. During this presentation, we will cover the benefits and limitations of the beroNet Telephony Appliance 2.0, how to install and configure a firewall in the beroNet Hypervisor, how to install and configure the 3CX IP-PBX system, and how to use an integrated beroNet gateway to connect the IP-PBX with both FXS extensions and an ISDN connection. The beroNet Telephony Appliance 2.0 was designed to function as a central communication hub. This means it has the ability to run the majority of your communication systems through the use of virtualization. On the device, you can install an IP-PBX, a software-based modem or firewall, a CRM and ticket management system, or any other software-based systems. Essentially, the appliance can run all the communication at your customer's location. This is made possible using the beroNet Hypervisor, which enables all of these elements to be installed in their virtual machines, allowing them to operate independently. Using the beroNet Hypervisor, you have the ability to easily back up and restore virtual machines, enabling you to feel secure knowing that you can restore an entire machine versus having to reinstall a complete system and then restore a backup of a software application. You can also order the Appliance 2.0 with an integrated beroNet gateway. This offers you the ability to connect your IP-PBX system with PRI, BRI, FXO, FXS, GSM, or any combination of these technologies. This flexibility has much to do with the modularity and massive compatibility abilities of our beroNet PCIe cards. I won't be covering these in detail during this presentation, however you can learn more about these on our website at www.beronet.com. Now, as promised, limitations. Using a beroNet telephony appliance to run all of your systems would in fact provide you with a single point of failure. If the appliance loses power, then your entire system will go offline. This is also the case in many virtualized server infrastructures, so it's not entirely a new problem. However, to combat the potential risk, we've added beroNet Cloud integration. This allows you to monitor and manage the appliance and the individual virtual machines on that appliance wherever you are in the world. That said, if a device goes offline, you will receive a notification. Essentially, it is possible to do everything I'm going to show you today during this presentation using the beroNet Cloud. Today we're going to be using the L version of our beroNet Telephony Appliance 2.0. We're using the device with an integrated PCIe card, which means that here we're going to have 8 GB of RAM, a 120 GB SSD drive, and a BF1600E PCIe card. With that, I've installed our hybrid module, so we have 2 BRI and 2 FXS here. When you receive your telephony appliance in the mail, you're going to want to connect it to your network. To do this, simply plug the device into power, connect your LAN cable to the LAN port, which is the one on the left, and then turn the device on. To do that, just click that button. You should hear it beep, and once that beep happens, the device is turned on. After that, simply go to your Windows system, open up your File Explorer, and under Network, under Other Devices, you should see the beroNet Telephony Appliance. If it's not there, or if you don't have a DHCP server set up, then you're going to want to download our BF Detect tool. To download the BF Detect tool, go to your Internet Explorer. On our website, you're going to see a link that says Downloads. Click that link. And then here you can see BFX Tools, BF Detect. Under BF Detect, you can choose whether you want a Linux or a Windows file. I'm going to use Windows, so download that. Then the zip file will download. Once this is complete, go ahead and open that. You're going to want to then decompress these files, so I'm going to go ahead and throw them onto my desktop. And then open my BF Detect tool. What this is going to do is show me all the beroNet devices connected to my network. Here you can see that I have the appliance and the integrated gateway. And first what I want to do is check these settings and then set a static IP address. I've already determined which IP structure I want to use, so let's take a look at that quick. What I'm going to be doing is installing a monowall firewall. I've decided that I'm going to use a 10.0.0.1 as my GUI LAN IP address for that. And then for the hypervisor and gateway, I have the 5 and the 4 reserved. So I'm going to go back and set that up. I'm going to go ahead and turn DHCP off. With DHCP turned off, I'm going to change that IP address by clicking I and enter the IP address that I want. Now that that's done, you may need to also change your net mask and your default gateway depending on how you're setting up your structure, whether or not that DHCP server is already set up. Here I have everything already pre-configured, so I'm going to go ahead and save and quit. Now my appliance is going to restart. While that's happening, I'm going to go ahead and set up my gateway. So here you can see I have the gateway here. The appliance is restarting. I'm going to go ahead and click 1 for that. I'm going to turn DHCP mode off. I'm going to change my IP address. I'm going to put in that IP that I already decided I want to use for my gateway. And then I want to save and quit. So very easy. Now I'm going to go ahead and let that gateway reactivate and take a look at our hypervisor. When you first access the hypervisor, you're going to reach our login screen. The default credentials for this will be admin and then beroNet. Go ahead and click login and it'll take you to the dashboard of the hypervisor. First thing you're going to want to do is go to settings and change your password. For that, I'm even going to change my username to something a little more random and then enter a rather complicated and secure password. Change that. Now it's going to prompt me to log in again. So go ahead and enter those credentials again. We're back to the dashboard. From here, what we have is a section where we manage our virtual machines and different elements that do work with the virtual machines. Variety of settings, some additional management items, including debugging and full trace. A way to visualize the different devices connected to the network, just like the BF Detect tool. So you can see here we have the appliance and the integrated gateway. And then a logout button. So first thing you're going to want to do is get your router set up. I'm going to go ahead and go to the market here and do that. Now that I'm here in the market, I'm going to want to download my firewall and router and get that set up. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here to the mono wall and then download that. Click OK. What this is going to do is give me the ISO file directly in order to install this monowall modem firewall system. So here we're going to see background tasks. You can see what's happening in the background and the current status of that task. And when that's complete, we can then go into Manage ISOs, and see that we have that ISO here. With the monowall ISO currently downloaded, I can then install my virtual machine. To do that, just go to Manage Virtual Machines, create a virtual machine. I'm going to call it router. 1 CPU is more than enough. 1 GB of RAM, also more than enough. And 10 gigs of space is definitely more than enough. Here we can go and select our ISO file, the monowall, select the boot device. Because this is our router, I want it to start on boot. And then here, I'm going to go to my network settings. It's also the router, so I want it to be able to control my LAN and my WAN ports. And then the VNC display port 5901 is perfectly okay. I'm going to add a password to this, a unique password, to also add more security to my system. And then I do not need Windows Tools. What Windows Tools is a separate drive that will then attach to that system when you install a Windows system that then provides some basic tools for that system. So because all of this is currently ready to go, I'm going to click Create Machine. And here you can see that I now have a new virtual machine for my router. To start my machine, I'm going to go to the dashboard. and I'm going to click Start. Then, to access that, you click the Web VNC link, type in my password, connect, and then you can see that this is now starting from that ISO file. With the system now started from the ISO, I want to install it to the hard drive, so I'm going to select 7 to do that. It's then going to ask me which drive to install it to and give me a list of the available drives. I'm going to select the drive that I then allocated for this. And then yes, I do want to proceed, and it will reboot the device. Now here, just keep an eye on the installation process. When that is done, you're actually going to want to power off this device and change some of the settings for that virtual machine. So it's done. You can see that it's rebooting. It also automatically disconnected because it's rebooting. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go ahead and power that off again. Go to virtual machines. I'm going to edit this virtual machine, so click edit. And instead of booting from the D file, I'm going to go ahead and select C and click again edit to save. So now we can see here that the boot device is this C disk. Back to dashboard and click start. With that system now running, I'm going to want to go to this Web VNC again. Go ahead and close these browsers up here. Type in my password and connect again, and you can see here that I have everything started up and it has a default LAN IP address. Now, as you remember, I've already decided what I want that to be, so I'm going to change these settings. First thing I want to do is assign the interface and the network ports, so I'm going to click 1. I'm going to say that I want to do no VLANs now. I want to set up my LAN to be the RE0 and my WAN to be the RE1. With both of those set up, I'm going to just continue through, and then I want to proceed, and it's going to reboot my device. As the device reboots, it will disconnect you from the device. Just reconnect. And then here we have, you can see that my LAN and WAN ports are now set up to those port configuration. However, my LAN stuff is still kind of weird, so I'm going to switch that up. Go into set up LAN IP address, that's the selection number 2. I want my new LAN IP address to match what I designated for it earlier, that's the 10.0.0.1. And then that's going to be in the 8 here, and I want to enable DHCP. I want the address range to start at and end. And then enter to continue. And now it's ready for me to access the web GUI. So I'm going to open a new tab. Type in that monowall access. It's going to give me a page here to log in. The default login credentials for monowall, it will be admin and then mono. Log in, and you can now see the monowall GUI. Now that I'm in the monowall GUI, I'm going to want to set up a new password for this. To do that, go under General Setup, and then create a secure password. With that done, click Save. And then I will have a new password for the GUI. Now I want to set up that WAN configuration. Oh, gotta re-log in. I'm going to go ahead and click OK, which will bring me back in. Then I want to set up my WAN connection. So here I am. I've already decided what I want this to be, so I'm going to go ahead and enter those. This is information that you're likely going to receive from your internet provider. And then because I'm setting this up as a demo kit within our local network, I'm going to go ahead and let those connections access this device and push save. Okay, with that successfully configured, I'm going to go ahead and look at my LAN settings here. You can see that I have this set up. If I go under DHCP server, you can see that I've set up my DHCP server, the available range, and also the range that I'm actually going to be using. And then under system interfaces, you're then able to see that everything's up and running. With the monowall now up and running, I'm going to go back to the appliance and install the system for 3CX. So going back to the market, and then here we have a Windows 10, which is a 3CX ready Windows system, and then I will go ahead and download that. This is an actual virtual machine, not just an ISO file, so it will take a little bit more time to download. Alright, now that we have the Windows virtual machine downloaded, there's a few things you want to do before you move forward. Quick tip, if you go to backup VMs and then have a USB stick plugged in, I recommend a 3.0 stick, and then backup. Create a backup of this virtual machine right away. This is a 9.6 gigabyte file that we've just downloaded, so it does take some time. If you create a backup, then you can just plug in your stick and restore that backup versus going through the download again. So now that we have that here, let's go to Manage Virtual Machines and look at these settings. So I'm going to edit. Alright, so it says I want to use 3 CPUs there. I don't want to use 3 CPUs. I'm going to select 2 for now. For memory, this is an 8 gigabyte memory machine. So I'm going to now select 5 because I want to have some space for the hypervisor and then some space for the router here. So I'll lower that down a little bit. Here on the ISO, I want to make sure it's selected to none and that it boots from my C disk. I want the system to start on boot as it is my IP-PBX. If for some reason the location loses power, I want it when the system restarts to then also restart that system so that their IP-PBX comes back online. With network, LAN is perfectly good. We're going to leave it there. And then other, with the VNC display, as you can see, we have 2 items with the same VNC display. That does cause a conflict. So I'm going to change that, add a secure password for my VNC, and then because it's a Windows system, I'm going to leave Windows Tools connected. Click Edit to save. Then now you can see that these new configuration settings are then updated. One other thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to click the Move button, which allows me to rename the system. I'm going to call it my 3CX PC and click OK. Now you can see I have 3CX PC with 2 CPUs, 5 gigs of RAM, 50 gigabytes of disk space, and using this VNC display port. So I'll go back to my dashboard. On the dashboard, I'm going to go ahead and click Start. Okay, so I went ahead and started the Windows machine here. I went through the basic Windows setup process. You will need to get a license key for your Windows system, so you can do that either from your favorite vendor, from Microsoft themselves, distributor. And once you have that finished, go ahead and log back into your system. You can see here that I have Windows up and running. So what I'm going to do before I do anything else is I'm going to go into System. I'm going to go to Advanced System Settings, Settings, and then select here Adjust for Best Performance. You can see that I've done that already, but go ahead and do that. It's going to make your system run much better through the VNC. What this does is removes all those 3D effects and shadows that Windows does to make the system look really cool and feel really awesome, but you don't need that here, so go ahead and disable that. And then OK. And then I'm going to set up my network settings. So if I go to Open Network and Sharing Center, and I go to Ethernet here, Properties, and then on my IP protocol version 4, I want to do Properties, and then use following IP address. Now, as you remember, I have this already decided what I want to do here. So I'm going to go enter that here. Subnet's going to automatically do that for me. This is just going to be the router that I have set up. And then I'm going to do the same with this. Okay. Click OK. and then close. You're going to see that it's going to be a little upset with me for a couple seconds here, and then it'll resolve. Perfect. Alright, now that I have a static IP address set up for this system, I'm going to start my my 3CX installation. I've already downloaded the installation file. This is available on their website or through your partner portal for 3CX. And we'll go ahead and go through that process now. Alright, so to do that 3CX installation, just go ahead and look at the recommendations here. Click Next, read their terms, which you can then accept. And then I'm just going to use the default location for that installation, and so just clicking Next. Okay, here it's going to say that I'm only able to use standard installation of the single instance because I'm not using a server operating system. That's just perfectly okay, so I'm just going to push Next. And then I'm doing this behind a firewall, so I'm going to click Next on that as well. Now here is the IP address that I set for our card here, and then I'm going to click the external IP that I put on our router here. And then Next. And then this is the admin email for the 3CX phone system. So if you're going to be the administrator for this phone system, you might want to put your email here, as it'll then send you the notifications when something happens to the system. So go ahead and put your email address there and click Next. Now, I highly recommend that you use an FQDN, as does 3CX. It certainly gives you much more usability with the system and a lot more ease of use. So for example, your smartphone applications will provision a lot easier if you're using an FQDN. I currently do not have an FQDN for this installation, so I'm going to push I don't have an FQDN and then click Next. Here's some of those other items that you get if you use an FQDN, but unfortunately, again, I don't have it. So set up your mail server, a reply to address, and then your username and password, which is going to be something a bit more secure than that, and then click Next. Here is your username and password for your 3CX management console. I recommend changing both of those and not using admin. It makes it much more secure. I'm going to do something insecure at the moment just to make this easier to use. So with that, I'm going to click Next. And then here you can see that they're giving me the 3CX web server, Abyss web server, which is fine. Then I'm going to use their default ports, just makes configuration a little bit easier. And then because I did this other item, I have to use, I don't have an SSL certificate, so I'm going to click that. For company name, I would put the company name of your customer. And then for your certificate password, just put whatever you're going to use there. Then click Next and install. During this installation process, it is going to ask you some additional questions and install some additional services. So you need to keep track of the system and not just leave it at this point. If you leave it at this point, it's going to stop and wait for you to click some buttons, and then you're just going to come back and have to continue it and then wait longer. So certainly stick around a little bit in order to install those necessary side systems. Such as this. And then you have to click Finish here. And the second one. And again, have to click Finish. And now it's going to go through the 3CX phone system installation. With 3CX now installed on my system, I can go ahead and start the management console here if I choose to, but there is a better way to do that, and it runs a little bit faster when you're not using a VNC, so I'm going to go ahead and do it directly from my browser. To do that, just type in the IP address you set for that, add one of those port numbers, and then /management/. It should then access the 3CX management console. With the console now here, we're going to use that username and password reset during installation and log in. And at this point, you're going to be setting up some settings for the system. These settings, some of them cannot be changed. Others may be able to, but one thing that cannot be changed is your digit numbers and how many digits for your extensions. Definitely recommend never doing 2. Go ahead and do 3. Click Next. Select your country and your time zone. So we're in Germany. Spend some time looking for Germany here. Just going to be right. There we go. And then time zone. So we're in Germany. That means I'm in Berlin right now. So I'm going to go ahead and search for Berlin, which is right there. Okay. Click Next. Extension number. This is going to be your operator extension, so the default destination for all inbound calls. I'm just going to call that main and line for my first and last name. And then our general email address there. Click Next. Now this is one of the 3CX safety things for managing which countries can receive phone calls. So this essentially blocks any calls that are not selected here. So right here on Europe, you can see there are a lot of things not selected, so don't assume that everything is selected automatically. Because we are a very international company, we kind of call everybody. I'm going to select everything, but even so, double check and make sure everything is selected there. Looks like we're good, except for Europe. There we are. Okay, click Finish. And this is going to set up the initial 3CX management console for you, which we have right here. Alright, here is our 3CX page. Here's what you're going to see when you log into 3CX, either for the first time or every time you log in. Unless you have all these tasks finished, and then I'm not quite sure what's going to pop up here. But let's go ahead and jump into what we're going to do for our configuration today. First, let's go in and create some extensions for our FXS ports. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Extensions. Click Add, and then I'm going to make this actually 120 here, and I'm going to make this for Mr. John Doe of John Doe Industries, so I'm going to call that John D at johnd.de. And then a mobile number if you want to be able to set up call forwarding in the future. So I'm going to leave that blank as I don't have a mobile number for him. I'm going to do something really bad and make an easy password for myself. But leave their default passwords or even make them more complicated would be highly recommended. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and apply this new person here. There are additional fields you can then fill out for the extensions to customize those or add more features to the phones that they're going to be using. However, for this demonstration, I'm just going to do the basic configuration. So now we have Mr. John Doe. I want to add one more extension for my next port here, and that's going to be for Miss Jane Doe. And Miss Jane also doesn't have a mobile, unfortunately, but we're going to get another easily hackable password there. Okay, so I'm going to apply these settings. And now that we have a couple extensions here, I'm going to go ahead and add my PSTN gateway. To do that, simply go to PSTN Gateways and then click Add Gateway. Type in a name for your gateway. I'm going to call it beroNet Gateway, and then I am using a BRI gateway, so I'm going to leave that one there. And then clicking Next here. As I mentioned earlier, we set a static IP for this. I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. Click Next, and I'm going to make this a little bit easier for me to remember. Again, leave their passwords here or make it more complicated for security purposes. I'm going to go ahead and click Next. And here you create your outbound rule for that gateway. So I want everything that dials with a 0 to then go over my gateway. You can do some least cost routing here and make it really easy just by putting the local prefixes there. But I'm just going to do this the easy man's way out and just do that. Strip the extra 0 so that it then sends the number through as is. There we go. And configure beroNet card. Alright, it's going to give me this page here. It's already pre-filled out on this case. Usually it won't be. We'll need to put in that information, so just the information here. Your server registrar is right there. All that information that's in this page is right here in your 3CX phone system management console. Okay, so we fill this in. The extensions here, just fill out the same extensions that you created. So the 120 for Mr. John Doe is here with his password, and the 121 for Miss Jane Doe is there with her password. And what this is going to do then is reboot and erase this device. So if you have a configuration you want to back up or save on this device, do that before you go through this process. And I'm going to click OK because I'm perfectly okay with it doing this, and then click Activate. Now, the question you may be asking is, okay, FXS phones, beroNet gateway, built into beroNet Telephony Appliance, but how is this a complete VoIP telephony system? And that is the case with 3CX. They have something called 3CX Phone, which is a soft phone client that can either be installed on your cell phone or on your desktop computer, and that then also fulfills the need for a phone. There are some specific needs that may require a hardware phone, so that's definitely up to your customers. However, when you use the beroNet Telephony Appliance in tandem with a system such as 3CX, and we do have other IP-PBX partners such as Moby-Dick that also provide a soft phone client for you to work with. So it's not just 3CX that can do this, but 3CX also does that. Okay, here we are. I'm going to go ahead and log into this gateway. Again, that is admin, and then log in. It's going to give me a thing here that says it's starting at services still. So I'm going to jump back in here, and you can see under phones, it's really easy right there, 3CX phone for Windows 8. I have one in the network. All I have to do is click this, assign extension, then give that to Mr. John Doe. Click OK. And now Mr. John Doe's 3CX phone has been assigned to him. If I have this YE-link here that's on the system, I can go ahead and assign an extension to Miss Jane Doe, click OK, and now Miss Jane Doe is going to give me some other options here, such as I can also add the PLF lamps now at this point if I want to. And then click Apply. And now Miss Jane Doe's YE-link that's on her desk is going to be configured to her. I also have a SNOME here, but that's already configured because I actually use that, so we're not going to see it in our list. Okay, so I'm going to go back to that gateway. It should be ready for us now. I'm going to go ahead and dive into that dial plan. That automatic configuration wizard has done all of this for us, so we don't have to create all these rules. All the rules have been made. And as you can see, also for the FXS extensions, those have also been made. So if you have more FXS ports, don't worry, just fill that out. It'll make those rules for you. Here under Management and State, which is the default login screen, you can see that I have lots of green lights, which is always happy to see. I have my 3CX primary ISDN connection right there, and then my FXS extensions are also registered as SIP clients. Then I have my FXS ports that are here online. I currently do not have any ISDN lines plugged into this specific gateway. However, that doesn't matter. For this demonstration, here under hardware, you can see exactly what I have here in these ports and how those ports are spread out. So that works out quite nicely as well. Okay, now what I want to do is register this device with the beroNet Cloud. To do that, all you need to do is go under Management and then Remote Management. I'm just going to ask me to log in again. And then type in my cloud username and password. For this demonstration, I actually have a local version of the cloud that I'm going to go ahead and use. I'll activate that real quick. And then type in my username and password for that and register. Okay, so now it tells me that everything was registered and working. We're going to click that button again and jump into our cloud system here. So, okay, let's go ahead and log in. And here you can see I have that device now registered in the cloud. Modules are drag and drop, by the way. I can go under Devices list. I can take a look at this device here. Statistics. It came online today, so that's great. I can look at the different counts and the count states, so see when a SIP account goes on and offline. I can then configure monitoring and alerts for this device so that every time something happens that's unexpected or unwanted, it will send an alert. And then I can go under here to device backups and schedule. Well, these are the actual backups for that device. I don't have any currently. I can go to device tasks and get a backup. So I'm going to create a backup. In fact, I'm going to have a backup of that device every month and save. Okay, so now you can see that it has a regular backup scheduled for each month right there. There's some other things you can do. In fact, you can even request the GUI for that. Go ahead and click that and you'll get this link here with the beroNet Gateway GUI. If you click that, it will then open a tunnel to that and allow you to log into the GUI through the cloud here, as you can see. So I'm not accessing that gateway directly. I'm doing it through my cloud, my local cloud installation there. So with that set, I'm going to go ahead and set this up with the appliance. If you had done this in advance of the appliance, you could have done everything up to this point in the webinar via the cloud. I'm going to go ahead and go back into my appliance. Under settings, you can go to cloud settings. Here you have, I already put in my local cloud server. And then add my username and my password. Click register, and that will register the device with the cloud. Alright, let's go ahead and head back into our cloud here. And if I go under devices, you can see that I now have two different devices registered to this cloud account, specifically an appliance and a gateway. In the appliance settings, you're able to then see up and down time, do monitoring and alerts, and also request the GUI and access the appliance GUI directly, or using a VNC client, you can also access the virtual machines. With that said, again, you can do everything that I did during this presentation up to the cloud configuration point through the beroNet cloud as long as you've configured it before sending it to the customer. Okay, thank you for joining us for this presentation today. My name is Jeff Sonic, your Marketing Director at beroNet. It was a pleasure of mine to be able to share this information with you. If you have any additional questions, go ahead and send us an email to sales@beroNet.com regarding anything beroNet or anything regarding your VoIP setup that you're currently working on. Again, it was great having you, and have a great remainder of your day.